Welcome to class! Woo! Hello everybody. I think it's time for story time. My name is Nathan MacArthur. You know how this works. You request stories from my life and I tell you all about them. Not a lot of requests last week. Sorry Nicole, I noticed that you spammed all of my videos about telling the possessed guy story. After consulting with many high-ranking officials, it's been determined that that video still is not suitable for the internet. Yet. Maybe in the future. So today I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to tell one of my favorite stories. Joseph Perez requested I tell the story about the time I almost died falling off a mountain. And SNL Q&A also mentioned stories from my childhood or my life that he might remember or he might be a part of. So here we go. Story of the time I almost fell off a mountain. Not almost, I actually did. We'll get there. So when I was about 10 years old, my whole family, it was a Sunday, I think it was like St. Patrick's Day, we were so excited because spring was around and we're going to go for a hike. And it was this big moment, there was this big family hike, and time for the hike came, and Dad didn't want to go because he was tired, Mom didn't want to go because she had to cook dinner, John didn't want to go because he was doing something else with his friends, and just everyone kind of just canceled out, just like, I don't want to go. So it ended up being me and my sister and my brother who all wanted to go on this hike, and we were so excited. We go out to the sand dunes in St. George, out by Snow Canyon Park, and we park the car and we look at the sand dunes, and they're so big and beautiful, full of sand, and we think, we've done that 1,000 times. And we turn around and we look across the street and we see this big giant mountainside, and we're like, yeah, let's go climb that. And we start hiking. And I'm 10, and my brother's 12, and it means my sister's probably 17. And the hiking is just like climbing over rocks and gravel. It's a very easy climb, kind of about this steep of an angle, nothing really serious. And notice how my arm starts to change halfway through the story. Yeah, but it starts to get steeper, and we get to a point on the mountain where there's just a sheer cliff, and there's like chains that have been bolted into the rocks, so you have things to grab onto, and it gets really technical, really scary for me. But we just climb anyways, and they help me up, and then they get themselves up, and it's just wonderful. Fun times with your siblings. We see a little spot off to the side that's got these little tiny ridges that you can climb up, and we get up to the top, and it's like you're sitting on top of like a loaf of bread of solid rock, and steep cliff off one side and then like a little staircase off on the other. And we just sit out there and we just enjoy this beautiful view of Snow Canyon Park in Utah. Just gorgeous. Sand dunes down below. We can see little teeny tiny ants, playing football in the sand. That's how small the people are. They're really, really tiny. And beautiful. And the sun's starting to go down. We think, you know what, we should probably get home. So we start to climb down. And my sister goes first because she's the good climber. And so she's going first. And she's getting set. And she gets to a nice comfortable place. And she's like, okay, Nate, you come down next. And I'm climbing down face first towards the mountain, and she's guiding my feet and where to put them. And did I mention I was 10? Yeah, 10 years old, and I was going through my growth spurt, and so my mom was tired of buying me clothes that fit, because I would grow out of them the next day, because that's how fast my growth spurt was. And so she was buying me shoes that were just huge, so that my feet would grow into them. And so I'm wearing clown shoes for this hike, and that causes my foot to slip. So just kind of, whoop. And my sister is holding my feet, watches it slip, and so she pushes everything she's got. She just pushes really hard against my foot to hold it in place. And she pushes her so hard that she pushes herself off balance, and she falls off the mountain the straight down way. And with nobody left for support, I start tumbling down the staircase side, and we just fall down the mountain. And so she falls 45 feet straight down and lands on solid rock, right on her tailbone, just boom. And I go down the side, and I've got cuts and scrapes, and I break my leg in the process and just kind of smash it against a rock. And I land in the middle of all these cactuses, and it's just this, what? I black out for most of it, so I don't remember the actual fall except for the beginning part, and yeah, a lot of expletives. But I wake up, and I'm looking around, and I see all these cactuses, and you know how your senses kind of come back slowly? And so I'm seeing these cactuses, and I just remember the cactuses. They were so close to me, but I didn't get hit. And then my hearing comes back, and I'm hearing my brother Steve, who you all forgot about till this point, was just screaming at the top of his lungs on top of the mountain, just, help! Call 911! And just screaming so loud. And I remember waking up, I was just like, Steve, shut up! And he looks down. At this point, he thought we were both dead. He's like, you're alive! And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm alive. And so he's like, can you see Jenny? And my 10-year-old brain, I'm looking around. And I crawl with a broken leg on my back through cactuses, trying to like avoid him. And I get to the point where I can see my sister, like, yeah, I can see her. She's sleeping, it's fine. And he calls me an idiot. And he's like, is she talking? Can you talk to her? And I'm like, yeah, Jenny. And she's just kind of gurgling. And it's this big moment. And I just remember it wasn't a big deal. I remember not thinking it was that big of a deal. We're just going to hang out. And so luckily there's a family at the bottom of the mountain at the sand dunes. And I remember the mom goes in the car to go get help, because this is like pre-cell phones being popular. And the dad takes the kids and hikes up the mountain after us. So maybe like a half hour later, the dad and these kids come up, and the dad hangs out with me because I'm just cut up, bloody everywhere. And so he's holding my leg, because that's the only part that hurts real bad. And he's telling me story after story, just trying to keep me awake, trying to keep me focused. And the kids are over with my sister, just trying to keep her, like, they don't touch her, just keep her awake, keep her talking. And man, it was awesome. He told me stories about putting thumbtacks on his teacher's chair. He told me stories about throwing paper airplanes in class. Anytime my leg started to hurt, I would say, ow, ow, ow. And he would kind of like just lightly move my leg, and then he would tell me another story, get my mind off it, and start telling me this next big story. I think that's kind of where I got the idea that I cared about stories and the ability to tell a good story to get your audience to really engage with you, was from him, because he kept me so focused for like hours. I mean, it was nighttime by the time people showed up. They couldn't fly a helicopter. I mean, they couldn't get a helicopter in because we were too close to the mountainside. And so they had to get ambulance there with a paramedic team that could climb the mountain. So it was forever. And they get up there and they see me and my sister, and they're like, okay, we're taking the kid first. Let's go. And I'm like, no, take my sister first. I'm fine. And this 10-year-old ego of mine, and they're like, no, we're taking the kid first. Look at him, he's all bleeding. I was like, I'm fine, I'm serious, take my sister. And they actually listened to me. They're like, okay, we'll take the sister. And I was like, okay, there we go. Yeah, you do what I say. Anyways, I wasn't that arrogant, but I like to think of myself as 10-year-old being that arrogant. I don't know why. So they strap my sister and they take my sister down. I didn't know it was going to take this long. It took them like hours, forever to get her down the mountain. And then they come, it's my turn. And they're like, oh, we're back. I was like, all right. And they strap me in, and I'm like, and they're passing, they're climbing down the mountain. They're holding me. And then they get to the hard part, and they have to like pass me down one person at a time. And they go around and pass it down. And then they go around and pass it down. And so I'm laying there, and I'm like seeing a face go by. I'm like, hey. And then a little while later, same face, like, hey. And they got me all strapped in, and they're freaking out. I'm just like, I know you. And I'm like making jokes as these guys, like, hey, good to see you again. As I'm getting carried down this mountainside. It was just crazy as this 10-year-old kid. And that's why it took them so long to get my sister down, because they were doing the same thing, passing her down one person at a time. So anyways, I get to the hospital. Broken leg, couple scrapes, no big deal. My sister, like all of her vertebrae in her back, just like crushed. 5 of them crushed to the size of 2. And she was in a hospital for like 6 months, and she graduated high school from a hospital bed. Craziness. And they decided that if they had taken me down the mountain first, she would have definitely died. 100% guaranteed. And so it was a good thing they took her down first to get her to the hospital, get her laying flat. They could start setting pins and whatever things and supporting her. Anyways, and again, back to the person you forgot in this story, my brother Steve. He was up there the whole time by himself, just kind of hanging out. I mean, I always forget how traumatic of an event that must have been for Steve up there, just all by himself, hanging out for hours. And the paramedic guys finally got him to climb down. They taught him how to climb down correctly to avoid slipping. And so yeah, we're all fine. We're all alive. We're all healthy adults. We all have our issues, right? So yeah, that's basically the story of how I fell off a mountain and almost died when I was 10. I'm sure you guys like the story. I love that story. That's one of my favorite stories to tell. Always a family classic. So if you like the story, give the video a like. Comment your favorite story that you want to hear about, or anything new, any new stories you want to hear about. I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you want to hear. And then as always, please share this with friends and family, whoever you think you'd like to know about my stories. And thanks for watching. Hello from Alaska.